Hello, and welcome to Art with Miss Michelle. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own pig using some household items. For this project, you're going to need a paper plate, either an old egg carton or a toilet paper tube for the snout and ears, some pink paint, uh, any kind of glue, a large paintbrush, scissors, a pencil, and you could use googly eyes. I don't have any, so I'm going to just draw eyes on this paper and cut them out. So either one, or if you want to use something else like buttons, you could do that too. So you might notice I don't actually have pink paint. So I'm going to mix white and red paint together to make pink. So white is a very light color that gets easily overpowered by other paint colors. So I'm going to need a lot of white and just a tiny bit of red. And if I mix too much red, it's going to just turn the whole thing red. So I'm going to put a little bit of red in the side over here of my palette. And I'm just going to slowly mix in a tiny bit at a time, because I can always add more red if I need to, but if I put too much in, then I can't take it out. I would have to add way too much white, and I'd probably just have to rinse it out and start over at that point. So I'm just getting a tiny bit on the edge of my paintbrush and stirring it together. And I want to make sure it's all mixed in until everything's blended before I add any more. I might just need a teeny bit more. Also, the red paint that I have is a much better quality paint, so it mixes into the white. The white is like a cheaper paint, so the red is a lot more powerful for the color and the quality of paint. Okay, so I think that looks like a good pig pink color. So I'm just gonna start painting my plate pink. I'm gonna paint the whole thing. I'm using a big brush because this is such a big area. If I had a small brush, it would take me way longer. So I want to make sure I'm using the right brush for the job. I also wouldn't want to use this giant brush to paint a really small thing because it would be too big. So make sure you have the right paintbrush for the job you're doing. And I should be able to paint this pretty quickly with this large brush. And I'm just using one finger to hold this down. And I'm going to paint this part last. So I can use one or two fingers so my plate won't move around too much. And then after I have the whole thing painted, I can just paint the part that I was holding with my finger. Okay, so now while I wait for that to dry, I'm going to start making the snout. So I'm going to show you two ways to make the snout. The first one is with the egg carton. So I'm just going to carefully cut one of these individual pieces out. And this is the bottom of the carton. The top doesn't really have a good shape, so I definitely want to use the bottom. And I'm actually not going to cut these parts off because that's going to help me glue it on. If I have a nice flat surface to put my glue on, actually this is sticking up a little bit, so I might trim that. Then that will stick really well to my plate. If I just try to do this thin edge, it's going to be kind of harder to stick because I don't have a very big surface area for the glue to stick to. So I'm just going to put my glue on here. So before I do that, I'm going to paint this pink too. I'm just using a pretty thin layer of paint. It's covering pretty well, but the thinner layer I do, the quicker it will dry. Whoops. Okay, so if you don't have an egg carton lying around, I'm sure everybody has toilet paper or paper towel rolls. I'm just gonna cut this in half unless you want a really silly long snout. But I can actually use this for the snout and ears. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this in half and then I'm gonna trace. So I'm gonna hold this down and trace it on my paper. And if you have pink construction paper, you can use that. I don't, so I'm just using regular white paper. So I'm gonna cut this out, but the trick is I'm gonna actually cut it a little bit bigger than where my pencil line is so that I can glue it onto the end of my snout. So then I would need to paint this pink too, so it all matches. And I could actually just put my fingers inside here and hold it so I could paint the whole outside. Then I'm going to paint the opposite side from where my pencil marks are. And I'm going to let that dry before I try to glue it. So now I'm going to make the ears. So if you did the toilet paper tube, you can use the other side of that to make the ears. So I'm just going to cut this in half the other way. And then pigs have kind of a pointy ear. So I'm going to leave this side and I'm going to cut from the middle of the other side to the corner on both ends. And then it gives me a little curly pig ear. And these actually look perfect. If you're doing the egg carton method, I'm just going to cut out another one of these individual pieces here. And then I'm just going to cut it in half this way. And then I could use those for my ears. So I actually like the toilet paper tube ears and the egg carton snout. So I'm just gonna mix and match. You can do that too if you have both materials available. So I'm gonna glue the flat part here. And this glue, this tacky glue that I have, works really well, but it is very thick and hard to squeeze out. So I'm just gonna put some glue in my flat part and then I'll stick it on right in the center. And then for the ears, I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue. I'm actually gonna do it on the front of the ear. And then I'm just gonna lift this up and glue it to the back of my plate. And then for my snout, this is almost dry. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue around the edge of this. And then I'm gonna glue it to the top of my tube here. Actually, it might be easier to put the glue on this. Carefully on this edge. You don't have a big surface for it to stick to, but it should work pretty well. You can stick that on. And then I would just do the same thing on this edge and glue that on. And then I can take my black marker and make 2 little dots for the nostrils. And then I want to paint my ears pink. So I'm just going to carefully do that. You could also paint them pink before you glue them on. That might be a little bit easier. Okay, so my pig's looking pretty good. You might notice he's missing his eyes, so I'm going to make the eyes. So, like I said, if you have googly eyes, you could just glue those on. I don't have any, so I'm just going to draw my eyes. So I'm going to make him have kind of big eyes because he has kind of a big area up here. So I'm going to draw 2 ovals that are the same size, or about the same size. Then inside there, I'm going to draw a black circle and color that in. And then if you have another color, if you want to give your pig an eye color, you can make his eye color match your eye color. You could give him brown eyes or blue eyes. I just have this color here, so I'm just going to use that. My pig is going to have tan eyes. And then I'll cut these out. And I'm just going to glue these on above the snout. And then if you want to give your pig a smile, you can give him a mouth. And I could give it some eyelashes if I want. And there's my pig. Pretty cute. So if you have a pink pipe cleaner lying around, you could punch a hole in here and twirl your pipe cleaner and give it like a little tail sticking out from the back. Like if you're looking at it, the body and tail would be back here. I don't have a pipe cleaner, so I'm just going to leave mine like this. I think it looks pretty cute. So after you finish, you can think of a name for your pig and maybe a little story about your pig. But this is the pig project. I hope you like this video, and happy pig making.